Welcome to the Yuniverse podcast. This is episode number 35. This is your host, Yun. I'm super excited to be back here to document my experiences and to talk about what I've learned, my journey. And it's amazing to be back and connect with all of you. The only thing it dies is who we think we are, not who we are. The essence of who we are, the awareness doesn't go away. So who we think we are is the ego, is the egoic mind, is our body, our personality, our separateness. And the ego is constantly being threatened or feeling that it has to be right, or else its reality or its entire existence would be threatened if it's wrong. It's like what Ram Dass's friend Emmanuel would say, that death is absolutely safe. Death is absolutely safe, so there's nothing to fear because nothing really happens. It's what we think. It's our overthinking. It's our identification with the egoic mind, with the ego that is always sensing or feeling threats or feeling a sense of danger to be annihilated whenever it is wrong. Emmanuel also says it's like death is like taking off a tight shoe. Or from the Bhagavad Gita, it is described as death is like taking off an old coat and putting on a new one. And the coat is a metaphor for our human body. So taking off an old coat, putting on a new one, this idea, this concept leads to reincarnation. Whatever we believe, it doesn't seem to be scientifically proven, or it doesn't seem to be logically, rationally proven, because all of these ideas, these concepts about death, about reincarnation, about who we are, the essence of who we are, can't really be proven. It's a natural, intuitive experience. We can't so much talk about it or express it or put it in language. We can only be it. And even experiencing something, say experiencing emptiness, it's still completely and way different than being emptiness. So back to reincarnation, it's we are here to awaken. I've talked about this on the last episode, number 34. We are here to awaken, but we are here also in an incarnation to work out specific things that are, we can call souls, or our essence, our energy has to do to finish its course. It's kind of like doing a crossword puzzle, right? This lifetime I get to do the word apple, and we go through that entire lifetime, we go through that entire trip, we finish the word apple. Okay, wonderful. Now we have to, I wouldn't say we have to, but now we naturally reincarnate again as somebody else, and we get to do the word places on the crossword puzzle, and we just keep doing it until that we are free from suffering, free from clinging of mind, of sense gratification, of greed for sense experience, to be free of attachment, and to be free of any type of sense experience, and to keep finishing that crossword puzzle, or we can think of it as a jigsaw puzzle that we just come back lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes to finish what we have to do. And each and every one of us has a unique curriculum, has a specific course that we have to go through at the school of life. And each time we are here, the chances of awakening gets better and better through each lifetime, through each reincarnation. And as we quiet down the mind, more, we get to see through the veil that has been put over us in every single incarnation since the moment we were born as a baby. It is to purify ourselves and to keep doing this inner work or spiritual work so that we get to finish the curriculum. The Bible also says, lest he dies and gets reborn again, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. I'm paraphrasing, but who dies and be born again? This is talking about who we think we are and not being identified with the ego, with the body, with the personality. Eckhart Tolle also says in The Power of Now that the secret to life is to die before you die. The secret of life is to die before you die. This ties closely to what we've been talking about. It's to die of who we think we are, the thought of who we think we are before the actual physical death. So we die to be reborn again, so that we get to enter the kingdom of heaven. And what is that? That is the one, the clear light, truth, love, presence. There can be so many different names to say or describe the same thing, but it's actually not quite. It's all of these are like devices, or they are all fingers pointing at the moon, right? But they're not actually the moon. But the key takeaway is to strip ourselves of who we think we are, so that we're not afraid of actual physical death, and also we become free. We are not in the state of the egoic mind, in the ego, and be so constantly frightened or afraid or in fear about any decision, any move, any ideas, any actions that we take, because we fear about other people's judgment or opinions, or even the voices coming from ourselves, the mental noises from the ego telling us that we're not good enough, that we are inadequate, that we are poor, that we don't have what it takes, that we are not good enough. All of these things, it's coming from the ego, and it's stopping us because of the ego's sense of survival. It's doing all these things so that it cannot die. Because when we identify in the ego, when we think we're the ego, when something goes wrong, when we experience failure or setback, or when we are wrong even with our opinions, it feels like death to the ego. And this is excruciating, and this is unbearable. So what does the ego do? The ego pushes all of these away so that we aren't able to get out of the comfort zone. We aren't able to take risks. We aren't able to do or even try to carry out what we actually want to do, and we are living in constant fear and a state of poverty mentality to avoid being wrong, so that we can avoid death. But once we can rest our state of being not in the ego, but in the essence of who we are, in our being, in our soul. We can actually get past the fear of death and realize that there is no death. So once we understand or know a little bit better of why we are here, about how the fear of death is also one of the illusion, that every action, every thought that we have, that we take from this moment is completely different. Because nothing is actually personal, right? Think about it. Nothing is actually personal. It's the egoic mind. It's the ego makes wants to make everything personal when we are here just to do work, to purify ourselves, and that there is no death. So whatever we do is also part of something, part of the design. And that every single experiences, every single interaction, it's specifically there, it's exquisitely there for us. The trauma, the drama, the pain, the suffering, every experience that we have at any lifetime is actually a vehicle for us to awaken, to realize, to make us realize about why we are in an incarnation in the first place, and that is to do work, to finish, to work out karma, to finish out the crossword puzzle. Everything becomes really light and fun, and it's all recognize that it's all part of something greater, right? Part of something bigger, and it's our control of wanting to have any kind of models of how anything should turn out creates suffering. And it's our control, our desire to play God and create a heaven within our environment, within our own world, that has become a reason for suffering. We try to control too much. We are being sold to be rich, to be successful, to have money, to have power, to have freedom, and to have homes and cars and insurance policy and money in the bank. And all of this is to have complete control of our environment, of how we spend our time, of, in a sense, it's like we are trying to create a heaven on earth, when actually heaven is already here. And the more that we're caught in trying to create it, that is actually hell. Because we can never really get what we want, right? Have we noticed when we're in the mode of needs and wants, as soon as we're finished with one set of accomplishment, one set of needs, instantly, not even when we get there, not even when we get that need, there is going to be another need that comes up that needs to be fulfilled, that needs to be satisfied. And this cycle just keeps on going. And there can never be enough to satisfy or fulfill us if we're looking outward into the world for any sort of gratification or fulfillment. Instead, when we look within, we realize that everything is actually already here. Heaven is already here and now. So death is really a separation or disidentification with the ego. That is death. Ram Dass says the ego is a lousy master, but a beautiful servant. The ego is a lousy master, but a beautiful servant. The goal at any moment is to not be so caught, so trapped in being identified with the ego, and to actually quiet the mind, to see through all that, to kind of go behind the ego and to cultivate that state of presence, that state of awareness, and just observe the ego and not identify with it, and watch its game, watch its play, watch what it wants us to do or what it wants us to think. And ultimately it wants to control us as a master. So once we're being controlled by the ego, it becomes increasingly harder and harder to see through the veil, to see through who we are, and that every actions that we do is actually coming from the ego and not actually coming from ourselves, our being, and coming from the heart. Aim to quiet down within and not be identified with the ego, and rest in our being. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you at this moment. It's been an incredible journey so far, and it's only getting started. There's so much to come. There's so much to learn, and it's so liberating to not be identified as the ego, and to simply just be. I encourage you to lose your mind and to do something that you've always wanted to do, and to not have any fear, to step out of the comfort zone as often as we can, and to see what happens. There's actually nothing to fear when we're not so busy being the ego. It is January 8th, 2021. It's a week into 2021. Let's keep going, keep learning, keep doing what we love, and let's not give up for anything or anyone.